Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Welcome back to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Matt and Garrett are here with you again and make our nice intro brief today because most of you have heard it before. But if you want to learn more about what all this is from, go to ninjaselling.com. If you want to learn more about what Matt and I do on a day-to-day basis with a group of about 30 other amazing coaches around the United States, go to the coaching tab on ninjaselling.com. And if you want to learn more about like-minded people like yourself to listen to this podcast, share ideas, build your business, go to the Facebook page, Ninja Selling Podcast, and you will find them there and they will interact with you just like a big playground. All right. Welcome, Matt.
That was great. Applause. That was fantastic. I'm like, yeah. All right. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. Welcome everybody. This is fantastic. Good morning, Garrett. How are you, man?
I'm really good, sir. I'm having a great morning. Excited to be chatting with you. And I'm going to let you throw the topic on the table here today. You were researching some different directions and stuff, and we landed on one, and we're like, record, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting topic I think we'll talk about today because it's kind of like, it's a combination of two things, really, I guess. Like the first being, just in general, this isn't exclusive to real estate, but I'm seeing a lot of people looking for the easy way out kind of thing, looking for the easy way to accomplish things and getting like, why do I not have quick results, right? That's one component. And it's paired with AI, artificial intelligence, not to be confused with Allen Iverson.
Oh, thank you for that clarity, Matt.
I saw a funny meme about that. Not to derail us here, but a lot of people are really excited about the direction of AI and things like ChatGPT and a lot of other things that are out there. And I also think that there's a component to that is part of this. I'm looking for the easy way out, right? And I think there's some things we should probably be aware of and be cautious of when engaging in using things like ChatGPT, thinking like, oh, this is going to be the coolest thing. Like I'm going to be able to accelerate my business all because of AI or whatnot, when it's like, well, what is the long-term impact of that for one? And two, if we lean on these things that are quote easy fixes, what does it mean when they're gone? Or all of a sudden you have to start paying for them? Or all of a sudden we find out that maybe it's not working the way that it should, kind of thing. So it's a kind of a conglomeration of those two thoughts for today, Garrett, but I figure, hey, let's go for it.
Well, the whole time you're talking about like the easy way, I was thinking back to a movie that I used to watch years back. I'm not going to mention what movie it is because that's not important. But one of the things they talk about is the way, and they said there's a shortcut coming up. And they said, shortcut? They're like, why is it a shortcut? They said if it was easy, it would just be the way. They said that's why there's shortcuts. Is that usually it's not exactly an easy path necessarily. It's because otherwise it will just turn into the way over time. This whole AI thing is an interesting thing that I do think there's parts of it that are going to turn into the way that we search in the future. It's the way we gather information. At the same time, though, it's like there's something about putting in the work. And I'm going to go back, Matt, real quick to absorption rates. And we're not going to dive into how you do absorption rates and whatnot, but I am going to use this as an example where I've taught people, I've done it myself over the years, where I would sit down for a good couple hours every month and I would analyze the marketplace. I'd pull absorption rates. Every once in a while, I'd pull the odds of selling for certain price ranges and pieces of information. And then what I would do is I would track that information every single month. And I had a lot of agents that did it. Now we're going back. I'm getting older. I'm realizing that. So this was before we had all the MLS systems doing all this for you and all the printouts. You just hit the button and it's there for you. But what I found was I had an incredible knowledge on what was happening and what was going on. I had a deeper insight than anybody else in my marketplace to what was going on. Now, time has passed, and I, at one point, had agents say, yeah, Garrett, your spreadsheet's great. This information's great, but my MLS just does it. It just prints it out for me at the beginning of every month. I can just have it printed out. And I would look at it, and I was like, your printout's great. It's missing tons of information. Usually it's a blanket, absorption rate for the entire market where I was doing by price range. And your system won't do that. And I was kind of like, I'm going to continue to do my way. You can take the easy way out, just print it now. Then it turned into, oh, my office gets me that information. They do it for me. Well, what happened is this became easier. And now these agents, some of them that were tracking all these numbers every month and they were looking at all that data and analyzing it right alongside me, now all of a sudden have this thing in the back of their head that says, when that information is needed, I will just go pull it. I'll just go look at what my last manager's email was, and I will have it in hand. Difference is, I could take someone who did it like me and say, explain to me the marketplace right now. And instantly they had the information. They were the Google search engine. They were the artificial intelligence of what was going on. Or maybe they were the intelligence of what was going on. The other people out there had to say, hold on, let me get that for you. And then they came back with sort of the information, some of the information, not all of it, because all they had was what was given to them by this person. By the way, the manager, that was their artificial intelligence. The MLS pulling this information, that was the artificial intelligence for them. So I think it's really important that we understand, one, the power of, yes, it's great to have people get information for you. It's great to have services like these AI chat rooms and stuff that you can go in and you can have information pulled for you. There's nothing better, though, that when you choose to really excel in anything, you need to be the expert. You need to be the one that has the answers, and use these tools as a way to go find answers when all of a sudden it's gone beyond your capacity of what you know. Mm-hmm. But don't just always go to these things. Learn and grow. And Matt, that's where I think, kind of spurred this today of like these entrepreneurs, business owners that are taking kind of this easy way out. And I find when you take the easy way out, there's a certain point, it always comes back and bites you.
Well, and the unwillingness to risk your own efforts, risk your own thought process, and I get it.
You mean risk being wrong?
Yeah.
Risk all of a sudden like going, oops.
Exactly. Well, it was funny. I was listening to a writer talk about AI, and he was, I guess, was talking about how he was responding to somebody who had said, well, I really like these artificial intelligence chat things because it helps me get past the writer block, helps me get past this gatekeeper of creativity that all these writers already kind of maintain. And he was like, well, wait, what do you mean gatekeeper? Because I put in the work to figure out how to be creative. All of a sudden I'm a gatekeeper holding everybody back. And the other component said, well, if you are able to do that, if it's that easy to get past the quote gatekeeper, then how easy is it for the next person then too? Right. And so the more you kind of use these things for your everyday functions, you're training these programs to basically put you out of work in a way.
Well, it all of a sudden flattens the playing field in a weird way. People, by the way, will find to out talent you.
Well, if you're gonna go put in there, hey, come up with a marketing program for this listing, what's going to stop the homeowner from just going in there and doing the same thing and getting the same result and saying, hey, I can execute, I just now have to figure out how to execute it. Right. And so when we put so much power and trust into these things, we're letting go of where our true value is, which is us and our time and our expertise, our guidance, our helping somebody walk through a process. And I think, looking at the shortcut, right? Because if it was easy, it would just be the way. I think it's feeding that like, oh gosh, I didn't get a deal this month. That's it. I'm out. Right. Or, I need to go buy some leads because I didn't get any results out of my database this month. And I understand the frustration. I understand that. It's like, but also we should understand that this business, real estate in particular, is not an easy business.
No.
We have a great user-friendly system called Ninja Selling that helps you increase your income per hour so that you can have a life. But in no way does that mean that it's easy. It also doesn't mean that it's hard in the sense of like, well, you just got to go grind it out and work, 60, 80 hours a week to see results. It means you have to be smart. You have to put the effort in the right places so that you can achieve a certain level of results. And honestly, Garrett, that's why we exist, right? In terms of what we do with coaching, because there's challenges all the time, and having, being able to talk through somebody with it versus just putting it into a chat bot is helpful. So that's another thought I had on that.
Well, no, and I think that part of that deep knowledge that you have of truly becoming an expert in something, rather than just looking up the solution. You're right. The homeowner can easily sit down and say, okay, what should I do on day one of putting my house on for sale by owner? Give me a weekly plan of selling my house for sale by owner. Like, yeah, those things are any one of you could probably Google that right now and Chat GPT, and you will actually have a nice little layout of what you should be doing and how to handle it. Where can I get forms so that I have all the right paperwork in the state of California to sell my house myself? You can have all that. This is the craziness of this world that we're in right now. It is so fast at your fingertips. It's incredible. Here's the thing, though. With all that being said, all of you listening to this right now, and I'm talking just to the realtors that are listening. We have a much larger listener group than just real estate agents. All the realtors that are listening. In your office right now, if you had to list your home, are there people that you would list it with and people that you would not? In your own office. And I all know that there's certain people that just popped into your head, which is like, well, of course I would use that person. And there's another group that you're like, oh, I would never, ever use this group over here. And it's because even as a professional in real estate, that there's different levels of people that actually can get this business done at a very high level, even with all the tools out there to the general public to do it themselves. These things, there's something about having the experience, having the background in it, having that knowledge of what it takes. This is why I use the absorption rate analogy earlier for myself, is having that information on hand in this human computer is no different than that expert real estate agent that has chosen to make this a profession for themselves rather than looking for the easy way out. You all know who that person is in your office again. I can picture somebody right away. When I think of it, I'm like, oh, that's the real estate professional that I know that I would choose to have help me if I had any real estate. And then it dwindles down from there. And I think that, again, this easy way out, real estate is, Matt, you were saying it can be a hard business, or it's a hard, how did you say it? It's not a hard business. It's just,
it's hard, but not hard in the sense. I think a lot of people equate hard as like you have to grind it out, put in hours and hours and hours of work. And in certain sections you do. Like, for example, when you were starting to track your absorption rates and everything up front, that was probably way more effort than it was after you had been doing it for a year.
Oh, yeah.
And so there always is inertia that you have to overcome in anything. And a lot of times along with that, we require patience. But when you plug in something into an AI system, right, it does spit out an immediate result. And I think the convenience factor of something like ChatGPT now, which, really a lot of people are using it as a search engine at this point, because it gives you a precise answer versus you having to then choose which article should I read and whose advice I should take. The amount of trust that I think people put into these things up front is also very interesting as well. And so when you are looking for that easy way out, just know you're putting your trust into, and I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, but you're just immediately trust what it says.
So Matt, you pulled this on me this morning because we were getting ready for this podcast, and I said, I actually used AI yesterday when I was working on my car. And so we're getting ready for a race this weekend. Anybody who's listening to this right now, you missed it. But if you ever want to follow us, go to Run CRV, RUN space CRV on Facebook. Follow us and you'll be alerted because we do all of our races live. And we're actually going to live stream us driving the race car to the race, which we have bets on how fast I'm going to get arrested. Maybe not arrested, pulled over.
You have all of the things clear. I mean, but you may have somebody who's a little curious as to why you're driving that vehicle on the road.
Yeah, we'll see how many times I get pulled over going from here. It's about a 70-mile trip I got to take. Now, with that being said, I was looking at the car last night and I'm sitting here going, something looks off. And it was the alignment on the front wheels. And I was sitting here going, okay, what is the proper alignment for and I started to type it in. And I put in the year, the make, the model, the drivetrain, and it came back to me immediately with its approximately 0.12 inches of toe in on a front wheel drive vehicle like that. And I basically now have something to go off of. Matt answered me with, how do you know it's right?
Yeah.
And that was a really fascinating moment for me because he's like, we're giving so much trust to these AI systems. We look at them and go, oh, it's AI. It's got to be right. Like it's artificial intelligence. It sounds so cool. And at the end of the day, it's like, what if it's wrong information? Like, what are you banking on here?
Well, and what's so funny is you have a lot of people who are like, oh, you can't trust anything you read on the internet. Let's use ChatGPT instead. It's like, well,
where do you think it's getting it?
The source of that is, and now I will say it's very convincing. And I think this actually highlights what creates trust, right? Because when you punch something into ChatGPT, it writes extremely well. It comes up.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, I did ask it, how do I sell my house for sale by owner? And I will post this in the Facebook group because it came up with an 8-step process that is actually I haven't read in detail everything here because we're obviously doing podcasts, but it seems pretty comprehensive here. But it writes in a way where it gives trust because it's confident, right? It's confident in what it says as a program. That's how we build trust with our customers. That's how we build trust with our sphere, is being confident in what we do. How do you build confidence? By doing the work, as you were talking about, going and tracking the absorption. Now, okay, yes, we have the systems that do provide that data for us. Great. Look at the data, explore the data, analyze the data. You don't maybe have to log it into a spreadsheet now. That's great. Look for convenience options. I have no problem with that, but don't skirt the work. As soon as we start skirting the work, that's when all of a sudden you're going to degrade your skill set, which is going to lead to performance degradation over time. We've heard it time and time again from people, Garrett, who's like, maybe their listings for the past 3 years just always came from referrals, good friends. They never really had to do the process. They should have been doing the process. Then all of a sudden they compete for a listing and they lose. And they're like, I don't get it. What happened? It's like their skill set degraded because they weren't practicing.
Yeah.
They weren't doing the work to keep the skill set alive. And that's my biggest concern with people starting to look for these easy way out is you're going to work yourself out of a job at some point, not because AI took over, but because you chose not.
You got lazy.
Exactly.
Because you got lazy with stuff. And that's why I like the absorption rate pieces, because again, what I watched with people is they stopped doing any of the work themselves, knowing they had the information when they needed it. But all of a sudden, they were now behind the 8 ball because they weren't keeping up out of themselves. They weren't doing the work themselves. So all of a sudden, you go to them and you're like, hey, what's going on in the market right now? And they go, hold on, I got to go get that. We're, again, one of us, boom, information right then and there. I experienced this the other day. We're all working on this car, the team that I race with, and a question came up about investment properties. And the gentleman that was asking recently had an inheritance, and he was saying, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my money. He goes, Garrett, I know you like to invest in homes. And the other gentleman that was there has invested in houses in the past, but has also had bad experiences with investing in homes. And believe me, you can find all different experiences with people that have invested in homes. And it was interesting to hear us go back and forth on our personal experiences of what we've had, how I've experienced it, ability of pulling money out, banking on appreciation versus banking on cash flow, to how the other gentleman went about buying his property. Very, very, very different strategies. He had a dead mindset of like what it meant to invest in properties, and it was not positive. He really went through the ringer with them. And I said, so were you the property management? He goes, oh, I did all my own property management. He goes, the phone calls late at night. I'm like, yeah, I don't have that. Erase that off the table. Like, I have a better plan. But it was interesting is that the gentleman with the inheritance could have easily gone on to take the easy way out and just go, I have an inheritance. How should I invest my money right now moving forward? And Chat AI would have dumped in a whole bunch of different ideas of what he could do. There's something about learning from real life experiences also, and having that ability of sitting with us and saying, what was your experience? What was your experience? And there was a question that I didn't even have the answer to in that real time, which I've actually gotten back to him recently and said, hey, this is actually how you need to think about this. AI is not going to come back to you later going, oh, and you might want to consider this. It's a very simple one answer. This is what you got. And here's the other thing, Matt, with my friend Mike and Tim and myself, our computer program is working after the input was put in. Mike gave me that information and I'm still working on it. I'm still thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for days now. What you get with an AI is the information once, it's done, it's there, and you move along. He's got now 3 computers working on this. His computer's working on it. And this is internal computer. This is brain we're talking about. His brain's working on it. Tim's brain's working on it. My brain's working on it. And we're going to spend the entire weekend together and it's going to come up. We're going to be sitting on the side of the track and we're going to go like, hey, let's talk about this again and start throwing around different ideas and different things we've experienced. There's something about having real life experiences that you can take and learn from. And that stuff he will have internally with him forever instead of having to come back to it. Second is that I want to add to this, Matt, is that the ones that are going to thrive with AI are the ones that are incredible question askers. The ones that are going to be a little scary with AI are the ones that ask one question, think they have their answer, and they're done.
That's a great point.
If you want to get really good with AI, just like Mike kept hitting me with different questions, and we're going to talk about it more, you need to get skilled at digging down deeper. What's the next question? What is the next layer underneath that? What is the next layer? Because all of a sudden, you're going to find all these elements down below, but it's only in that moment you ask that question. That computer program is done researching the minute you hit send my question.
Yeah.
It's over. So again, there's the easy way out, Matt, but I'll add in this one last thing. Real estate is too important. It's too complex to take the easy way out. Be a professional for these people.
And I'll say this, ultimately, yes, that's a good point. Like your people deserve for you to not take the easy way out. And I will say it may seem like the easy way out now, but it won't be forever. I mean, you talk about people who will put in the right prompts. There's courses now on becoming a prompt engineer. Companies are hiring people with titles of prompt engineer who write good prompts to get good results from AI. But the one thing to remember, particularly when it comes to real estate, for all of you and any business, if you're an entrepreneur listening or if you're an entrepreneur or whatever, execution is way more valuable than the ideas. I'm not saying that ideas aren't valuable, but give me somebody who is incredible at execution over somebody who just comes up with good ideas. And I can build a better business off of somebody who executes than somebody who does the ideas, because ideas are nothing without execution. I think about, well, health and fitness, just real quick, right? I mean, you can go ask ChatGPT, how do I lose weight? And it'll tell you the weight's still there. We still got to go do the work.
It's a really good point, Matt, is that you can have all the great ideas in the world, but if you're not going to execute anything, it doesn't mean a damn thing. And I mean, you can put anything you want in that you want to get better at. But again, if you don't take action with it, doesn't mean a darn thing. You know, we talk about it in Ninja. We got mindset, skill set, and action. And there's a reason action is the last piece. You can have all the right mindset. You can have all the right skills and all the right tools. But at the end of the day, if you don't apply the action to it, you got nothing.
You don't. Now, I will say, I don't want people to think like, oh gosh, Matt and Garrett are like total thumbs down on AI. I will say I'm not quite thumbs up necessarily, but you know, if you're using it to get past some writer's block and all that kind of stuff, like fantastic. If it's a tool that's helping you, great. I'm happy to hear that. But just be cautious, because don't work yourself out of a job is all I'm saying.
Yep. I have found in my world, I have had mixed emotions with AI. There was a little moment that I got really bent on it because I saw it used for evil. It wasn't evil. It had potential of being evil. And I was like, careful. And then I had my kids go, no, Dad, you got to try it for certain things. And I fumbled and fumbled and fumbled with it. And I was like, I'm not getting the answers I want, which is what I was saying, become a better question asker. I heard my wife say that. She goes, this will test your ability of writing questions is what it will do.
Yeah.
And that's what I have recently figured out, is that there's lots of things that I just need a simple answer to. I don't need, but it's the simple question that gives me the simple answer that allows me to take quick action. And that's the reason I'm looking for it. Like, I am trying to take action. I'm in a roadblock of taking action, and I've been able to go in and be like, how do I do this? And all of a sudden it's like, boom, there's my answer. And I'm out. And I'm out to take action on what I'm trying to accomplish. It's been great for that. Simple stuff, easy stuff. I think the minute you start getting complex, you start getting like huge plans of how you accomplish something. It's easy to put in, Matt, give me a 12-month plan on how to lose 100 pounds. But then there's the complexity of like, but what is your current health state? What can your heart allow you to do at the age of 70 now that you want to lose 100 pounds? Like, can you go work out like a 20-year-old, or do you have to have a different plan? Is this going to be a more diet type of plan that's going to get you, or there's going to be an activity type of plan that's going to get you there? It's a complex situation at that time. And I think that's where it gets interesting. Selling a house is a complex situation. We're not selling a bag of Oreos where it's the same, packet of Oreos every single time. This is a complex house, complex situation. We got people that need to get to different places at different times with different amounts of crap. Like, this is a lot of moving parts to make this all work and come together. Oh, and by the way, they have how many mortgages on their house? Great. Let's add that one into the equation that we weren't planning on. Like, you just keep adding in all these layers. And it's a complex situation, just like a health plan for a person.
Yeah.
And this is where it's like, choose wisely what you're going to apply AI to. The more complex, become the expert, become the professional. The light stuff, like what is the toe in on a 2001 Honda CRV? Have at it. Look it up. You can quickly adjust that and you can move on with your day. It's not going to cause the car to veer off the road. It might be off by a little bit, which I'll get some weird tire wear. But at the end of the day, I'm not affecting anybody's major outcomes of life. Well, we might not get first place if it's wrong, but that might be a serious situation.
Using it as a more precise search engine, let's say, is an option. And you know what? I would love to. We're going to have more conversations about AI. As I don't think it's going away. So sound off in the comments. We post these episodes, by the way, in our Facebook group. If you head over to Facebook and search for the Ninja Selling Podcast, you'll find a Facebook group with well over 12,000 people in it. That's us. We post our episodes in there. And so right below that episode in the comments, share your thoughts on AI, because I know that there's probably going to be, I will say, competing thoughts on this topic. There already has been in our Facebook group already. So feel free to drop it there and we can continue the conversation on that.
Well, then real quick around that is that there was a gentleman, Keith Lampari, you know who you are. And it was funny as we went back and forth and round on some stuff on AI. And it was interesting. And I still need a follow-up conversation. Hopefully by the time this actually goes live, I'll have my follow-up conversation with him. I had the nicest conversation with him. And I called him and he thought I was upset with him after kind of our roundabouts on our discussion that we had. And I was like, no, not at all. I'm like, this is how I learn. I can go and ask these questions to Chat AI, I guess, or Chat GPT. But what was really great was sitting with Keith and actually talking with him about what his experiences were and how he's used it and what the right way for him was to what I've experienced. And I walked away going like, okay, use this as a way to open conversation. There's going to be lots of people in there. They're going to share their ideas. And don't get stuck on your way is right. We're all learning this right now. We're all growing with this right now. And the best way for all of you to grow is be open to learning by others. And yeah, you're going to find something to like going like, I don't quite see it that way, but don't engage as like, I think you're wrong. This is too new for anybody to be right or wrong. This is everybody's experiences with this system so far.
Yeah.
And the more we can learn from everybody, the more we're going to all grow.
Yeah.
And so Keith, thank you for engaging me early on, and I do need a follow-up phone call with you.
Well, see, that's the beauty of this community, guys. If you're not in there, you're not part of the conversation. And by the way, if you're not on Facebook and you don't want to be in a Facebook group, that's totally okay too. You can always reach out to Garrett and I through Ninja Coaching, which head over to ninjaselling.com. You can learn more about coaching by clicking on the coaching button at the top there in the search. You can also learn more about upcoming trainings. I know a lot of people are looking for installations. A lot of you who listen have not been to an installation. And so if you're looking for one, head over to the course calendar. I know there's not a lot of public installations, but when they do come up, check it out, right? Travel if that's a possibility for you, because not only do you get the opportunity to get a great 4-day training program, but you also get a network with incredible agents who are just as ambitious as you, looking to grow and build a business. And those can be some great professional relationships that carry on for you for years. So head over to ninjaselling.com for that. Keep tuning into the podcast. We appreciate every single one of you so much. So thank you for sharing this. Thank you for sharing with us. And if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Garrett, thanks a lot for the conversation today.
Strong outro, Matt. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.